12 years. That's how long I built a life with Marcus. 12 years of trust. 12 years of partnership. 12 years of believing we were creating something together. Then Marcus decided it was over. And Marcus took everything. The condo we bought together in Portland, the joint savings, the retirement funds we'd been piling into, everything we built, Marcus carefully took apart and walked away with. I was left with nothing. Empty hands, empty bank account, empty horizon. But Marcus missed one thing. The one thing Marcus overlooked while splitting our assets became the most valuable thing I've ever owned. And that one thing changed everything. This is my story. My name is Chloe. I'm a Black woman. I grew up in Atlanta, the daughter of a school teacher and a construction worker. I learned early that nothing comes for free. You want something, you earn it. You keep it, you fight for it. I met Marcus at a tech startup mixer in Austin when I was 22. Marcus was 23, white, polished, came from a family in suburban Connecticut where money was something that just existed, like air or tap water. We were both the kind of hungry that comes from wanting more than what we were raised with, but our hungers came from different places. Mine came from watching my parents work double shifts. His came from wanting to outrun a father who told him he'd never be as successful as his older brother. Marcus was magnetic. Marcus was sharp. Marcus had a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan and a spreadsheet for both. He talked about wealth like it was a destination we'd reach together. We built a life together. Not fast, but steady, brick by brick. We saved aggressively. We invested early. We bought our first place at 26, a small condo in southeast Portland with a view of Mount Hood on clear mornings. I remember the day we signed the papers. Marcus squeezed my hand and said, "This is just the beginning." We got married on a hill overlooking the Columbia River Gorge. I wore a dress my mother helped me pick out over video call. Marcus wore a blue suit and cried during his vows. He said I made him want to be better. I believed him. We grew our portfolio. We traveled to places I'd only seen in magazines, Costa Rica, Iceland, a tiny village in southern Spain where we drank wine at midnight, and Marcus promised me we'd retire somewhere like that someday. We built a future for 12 years. Marcus was my partner in every decision. Marcus asked my opinion on job offers, on stock options, on where to spend holidays. Marcus and I were a unit. I believed in Marcus completely. I trusted Marcus with my retirement, my credit, my dreams. I thought Marcus felt the same about me. The first sign was tiny. Marcus started staying late at the office. Not once in a while, constantly. Marcus would come home and sit on the couch scrolling his phone, barely looking up. Marcus would take calls on the balcony and lower his voice when I opened the sliding door. I asked Marcus what was happening. Marcus said the startup was in trouble. Marcus said a key investor was pulling out. Marcus said not to worry. I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. Because if I couldn't trust Marcus, then what was any of it for? But my sister Nadia could see something I couldn't. Nadia is 3 years older than me, a nurse in Houston, and she has always had a radar for lies. Nadia noticed Marcus didn't reach for my hand anymore. Nadia noticed Marcus checking his watch constantly. Nadia noticed that when I talked about our future, Marcus looked away. Nadia asked me straight, "Chloe, is Marcus seeing someone else?" I laughed at Nadia. I told Nadia that was insane. Marcus would never. Marcus wasn't that kind of man. But that night, I lay awake next to Marcus, listening to him breathe. And something inside me knew. Something told me Marcus was hiding something. I just didn't want to see it. I wasn't ready to see it. Because seeing it meant admitting that I had made a mistake, and I had spent my whole life proving that I wasn't the kind of woman who made mistakes about men. Marcus left me on a Thursday. Not with a fight. Not with an explosion. Marcus just said he was done. We were sitting at the kitchen island eating takeout Thai food, and he put down his fork and said, "I can't do this anymore." I said, "Do what?" He said, "Us." He said he hadn't loved me for over a year. He said he'd already met with a lawyer. I didn't cry. I was too numb. I just sat there holding a plastic container of pad Thai while my entire life collapsed in a single sentence. Then I hired my own lawyer, a sharp woman named Denise who had survived 2 divorces herself and didn't sugarcoat anything. And Denise told me what Marcus had been doing during all those late nights. Marcus had been shifting money, not obviously, quietly. Marcus had moved funds into accounts with only his name. Marcus had sold off mutual funds without my signature. Marcus had parked assets in places I couldn't reach, accounts in different states, a small crypto wallet I didn't even know existed. Marcus had been planning this for months, maybe longer. Denise said Marcus had essentially gutted our financial life and moved it outside my reach. How is that legal? I asked, my voice cracking. Denise said it's not, but he got there first. The courts might give me a judgment, she said, but you can't get blood from a stone, and Marcus had turned himself into a stone. The condo, we lost it. The retirement accounts, Marcus had already cashed them in. The stock portfolio we'd built together, Marcus had transferred it. The emergency fund I'd added to every month for years, Marcus had drained it. I walked out of that lawyer's office with nothing. No home, no safety net, no future I could recognize. I was 34 years old, and I was back to zero. I moved into my father's guest room in Salem. My father is a quiet man, retired from the post office, with big hands and a bigger heart. He didn't hesitate. He didn't say, "I told you so," even though I knew he had never fully trusted Marcus. He just made up the bed with clean sheets and said, "You stay as long as you need." My mother had passed 3 years earlier from cancer, and I remember sitting in that guest room thinking how grateful I was that she wasn't alive to see this. She had worried about me marrying Marcus. She had said, "Just because a man has plans doesn't mean his plans include you." I told her she was being paranoid. I told her Marcus was different. I was wrong. And now I was 34 years old, living in my father's house, with no job that paid enough to rent my own place, no savings to restart, no retirement to lean on. Everything I'd built was gone. And worse than that, I felt humiliated. I felt like I'd been blind. I felt like I'd failed at the one thing I thought I was good at: building a life, being a partner, seeing the person I loved clearly. I spent weeks in my father's spare bedroom, not wanting to see anyone, not wanting anyone to see me. I stopped answering texts. I let calls go to voicemail. My friends offered cash, my cousins offered loans, my father offered to co-sign an apartment. I was too proud to accept any of it. I felt like I had failed at being an adult, at being a black woman who was supposed to have it together, at being someone my mother could have been proud of. One night, I sat in that room, and I actually thought, what do I even have left? What is there to rebuild from? And I had no answer. I stared at the ceiling until 3 a.m., and I had no answer. My father convinced me to see a counselor. He didn't push. He just left a business card on the nightstand and said, "This woman helped her cousin after her divorce." I didn't want to go. I thought counseling was for people with real disasters, not for someone who just lost money and a marriage. But I went. Her name was Dr. Patricia Okonkwo, a Nigerian-American woman with kind eyes and a direct way of speaking. I sat in her office in downtown Salem, describing the loss of everything material: the condo, the savings, the investments, the future. I talked for almost 40 minutes without stopping. Dr. Okonkwo listened without interrupting. And then she asked me something that stopped me cold. "Chloe, when you list everything Marcus took from you, the condo, the money, the investments, what are you actually grieving?" I didn't understand the question. I started listing the material losses again. The granite countertops I'd picked out. The vacation fund we'd been building for a trip to Japan. The security I thought I had. Dr. Okonkwo interrupted gently. "Those are objects," she said. "But what else did you lose?" And I broke open. I started crying so hard I couldn't speak for almost a minute. And when I could finally talk, I realized I wasn't grieving the condo. I was grieving the future I'd pictured, the one where Marcus and I grew old together on that hill in Spain. I was grieving the trust I'd given Marcus, the 12 years of believing in something that turned out to be a performance. I was grieving the person I thought I was. Someone who could read people well. Someone who had good instincts. Someone who deserved honesty and partnership. I was grieving my mother because she wasn't here to tell me it would be okay. Dr. Okonkwo listened and then asked, "And what did Marcus miss in all his taking? What did Marcus not take?" I sat with that question for a long time. The rest of the session passed in silence. I went home and I kept sitting with it. I sat with it for days. And then the answer came. Not all at once. Slowly, like fog lifting. I went back through my life. I thought about what I'd actually built. Not the condo Marcus took, not the money Marcus took, but what I'd built inside myself. Marcus took the condo, but Marcus couldn't take the negotiating skills I'd learned buying it. I had done the research on property values. I had haggled with the seller. I had understood the inspection report better than Marcus did. Marcus took the retirement accounts, but Marcus couldn't take the saving discipline I developed building them. I was the one who set up the automatic transfers. I was the one who tracked our net worth every quarter. I was the one who read the personal finance blogs and taught Marcus about compound interest. Marcus took the stocks, but Marcus couldn't take the financial knowledge I'd gained along the way. I knew how to read a balance sheet. I knew how to evaluate a fund's expense ratio. I knew things Marcus had never bothered to learn because he assumed he was the smart one in the relationship. Marcus took the cash, but Marcus couldn't take the work ethic that earned that cash. I had worked overtime. I had taken on extra projects. I had built a reputation in my industry as someone reliable and creative. Marcus could empty the bank accounts, but he couldn't empty my ability to fill them again. And then I realized something else. Marcus couldn't take the relationships that held me up. My father, who had given me a room without hesitation. My sister Nadia, who called me every single day even when I didn't pick up. Dr. Okonkwo, who was walking me through the wreckage with patience and wisdom. My best friend Tasha from college, who sent me groceries through a delivery app because she knew I wouldn't ask. Those people couldn't be stolen or divided or liquidated. Marcus couldn't take my resilience. The same resilience I had watched my mother show when she went through chemo and still showed up to parent-teacher conferences. Marcus couldn't take my ability to survive, something I had inherited from generations of Black women who had endured worse than a white man stealing their money. Marcus couldn't take the woman I was becoming by moving through this fire. A woman who was learning, finally, that her worth had never been tied to a man or a house or a bank account. And then I understood what Dr. Okonkwo meant. What Marcus missed in his taking. Marcus missed me.
The real me.
The center of who I actually am, separate from the things we'd accumulated. He saw me as a partner in a financial arrangement, not as a person with her own light. And that light, he couldn't touch. I called Nadia and asked her to meet me at our usual diner in downtown Salem, a place called Dutz that had been there since the 1950s. When Nadia got there, I had something with me. I'd started writing. Not a journal, real writing. Putting down my story. Not the story of how Marcus betrayed me, but the story of who I was turning into because of the betrayal. I had filled almost 40 pages. I read parts of it to Nadia over coffee and pancakes. I read about the night. I thought I had nothing left. I read about sitting in my father's guest room staring at the ceiling. I read about the moment Dr. Okonkwo asked me what Marcus missed. And Nadia cried. Not sad tears. Proud tears. Do you see what you've done? Nadia asked me. Do you see who you are without Marcus? Do you see what Marcus actually couldn't touch? And in that moment, sitting in a diner booth with my sister, I understood. Marcus took everything material, but Marcus couldn't take my voice. Marcus couldn't take my story. Marcus couldn't take my ability to survive and rebuild and become something stronger than I was before. Marcus couldn't take my capacity to learn, to grow, to understand myself more deeply through pain. The one thing Marcus missed, the thing Marcus overlooked while dividing up our assets, was me. The actual me. Not the wife. Not the partner in a financial partnership. Not the Black woman who had tried so hard to prove she belonged in his world. But the woman underneath all of it. And that woman, I was worth more than everything Marcus took combined. I was worth more than the condo, more than the retirement accounts, more than the stocks, more than the future he stole. Because those were things. And I was a person. And a person who has survived devastation is worth more than any collection of assets. The rebuilding wasn't magical. It wasn't a montage set to uplifting music. It was slow, boring, exhausting, one small choice at a time. I went back to community college for a certification in graphic design. I had always loved design, but Marcus had said it wasn't practical. Marcus had said I should focus on my project management career because that paid better. So I had listened. I had put my creative dreams on a shelf. Now I took them down and dusted them off. I went to class 2 nights a week. I did my homework at my father's kitchen table. I was the oldest person in most of my classes and I didn't care. I started writing seriously, not for money, but because my voice needed out and my story needed to exist. I wrote in the mornings before class. I wrote late at night when I couldn't sleep. I wrote about my mother. I wrote about growing up Black in Atlanta, about the microaggressions I had swallowed for years, about the way Marcus's family had always treated me like I was exotic, but not quite equal. I wrote about the rage I had suppressed and the grief I had tried to outrun. I got a job that paid less than before but gave me more purpose. I started designing materials for a local nonprofit that helped domestic abuse survivors, mostly women, many of them Black and brown, many of them trying to rebuild after losing everything. I looked into their eyes and I saw myself. I was helping people. I was building something real, not just stacking money. I was using my pain to ease someone else's. And that, I learned, is the most healing thing a person can do. I moved out of my father's house into a tiny studio apartment above a bakery in Southeast Salem. The apartment had one window, a hot plate instead of a full stove, and a shower that trickled instead of sprayed. But it was mine. I had signed the lease myself. I had paid the deposit with money I earned from my new job. I had painted the walls a warm yellow because my mother always said yellow was the color of hope. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I'd earned it through my own work, my own effort, my own stubborn resilience. And slowly I started to laugh again. Not the laugh from before, the one that was built on Marcus's income and Marcus's plans and Marcus's version of our future. But a laugh that came from inside me. A laugh that belonged entirely to me. I started going to brunch with Nadia again. I started calling my father just to talk. I started going to a small Black women's book club that met once a month, where we read everything from Toni Morrison to contemporary thrillers and talked about our lives with an honesty I had never experienced before. I realized that the condo Marcus took didn't matter. The money Marcus took didn't matter. Not because I didn't need housing or income. I did. Those things are real. But because my worth, my actual value, had nothing to do with those things. My value was in me. In my ability to survive, in my ability to adapt, in my ability to learn and grow and become more myself through devastation. And that value couldn't be taken or divided or lost in a divorce settlement. It was mine. It had always been mine. I just hadn't known it. A year later, I ran into Marcus at a coffee shop near downtown. I was standing in line for a latte, and I felt someone tap my shoulder. I turned around, and there he was. Marcus looked older. His hair was thinning. He had dark circles under his eyes. He was wearing an expensive coat, but he looked tired in a way that money couldn't fix. Marcus looked at me, and I could see him trying to figure out how I was standing there peacefully while Marcus had taken almost everything. I wasn't just standing. I was glowing. I had put on a little weight, the good kind, from sleeping better and eating regular meals. My skin was clear. My posture was straight. Marcus said, "I don't understand how you're fine." He said it like an accusation. Like I was cheating somehow. Like I had found a loophole he hadn't anticipated. And I realized in that moment that Marcus will never understand. Because Marcus still thinks in terms of what can be stolen. Property, cash, assets, things. He doesn't understand that the most valuable thing a person has cannot be taken. It can only be found. I looked at Marcus and I didn't feel hate. I didn't even feel anger. I felt something closer to pity. He had won the financial battle. He had the condo. He had the retirement accounts. He had the stocks. And he was standing in front of me looking miserable, while I, who had lost everything material, was standing there at peace. I said, "Marcus, you took my stuff. You didn't take me." And then I paid for my latte and walked out.
Here's what I know now.
If everything was taken from you tomorrow, you would still have yourself, your capacity to survive, your ability to learn and adapt and rebuild, your resilience, your voice, your story. Marcus took the condo, but he couldn't take my home, the safe place I've built within myself. Marcus took the money, but he couldn't take my ability to earn, to work, to provide for myself. Marcus took the future I imagined, but he couldn't take my ability to imagine a different, better one. And me, I'm still here, still standing, still becoming. The woman I am now is not the woman Marcus married. That woman trusted too easily. That woman believed that if she worked hard enough and loved deeply enough, she would be protected. That woman was wrong. But that woman also had a core of steel she didn't know about. And when everything else was stripped away, that steel remained. The woman I am now is stronger, more real, more honest, more fully myself. She is worth more than every dollar Marcus took. More than the condo. More than the retirement funds. More than all of it combined. I don't hate Marcus anymore. I actually feel sorry for Marcus because Marcus will spend his life collecting things and never understanding what truly matters. He will die wealthy and empty. And I have learned in the hardest way possible what actually has value. The one thing Marcus missed while taking everything else was the real me. And the real me is priceless. This is my story, not a story of loss. A story of discovering what I was always worth. A story of a Black woman who lost everything and found herself in the wreckage. And that self is unshakable. That self cannot be stolen. That self is free.